Rita and James, it's been a very busy week. Rita, tell us what is going on with the craziness and the response to the coronavirus and Donald Trump.
Well, the conspiracy theories are flying thick and fast. The left's embrace of conspiracy theories is really quite shocking. We're not talking about crazy anonymous types on Facebook or Twitter. We're talking about mainstream media personalities pushing out conspiracy theories. And again, there's a whole raft of new ones because Donald Trump's doctors addressed the media and gave an update on the president's condition. Let's have a look at that.
Has he ever been on supplemental oxygen?
Right now, he is not on oxygen.
I know you keep saying right now, but should we read into the fact that he had been previously?
Yesterday and today, he was not on oxygen.
So he has not been on it during his COVID treatment?
He's not on oxygen right now.
Has hydroxychloroquine been considered as a viable treatment option for the president?
We discussed it. He asked about it. He's not on it now.
And in terms of symptoms, has he also experienced difficulty breathing?
No, he has not. Never did. He had a little cough. He had the fever. More than anything, he's felt run down.
Now, you would think they're going over and above, being transparent, explaining every single treatment he's receiving. He went on to clarify there that he's never been on oxygen, not day one, not day two. He explained what the symptoms were, but no. The media are now questioning the doctors, saying that they're part of some sort of bizarre collusion. I mean, this is just pure insanity. I'm talking about mainstream people here. I'm talking about MSNBC anchor Joy Reid, who tweeted this out after the doctors addressed the media, saying, uh-oh, it's not like they haven't gotten Trump's docs to fudge his health status and weight in the past. So at this point, nothing they say can be believed, even the doctors. And I love this tweet from the ABC chief White House correspondent, ABC in the US. He tweeted out, this is Jonathan Karl, reporter, why was the decision made to transport him here? Connolly being the doctor, because he is the President of the United States. And then Jonathan Karl comes in with the very pertinent point that he's been president since January 2017. Well, Jonathan, he didn't have COVID in January 2017. And if the leader of the free world has a virus, a serious virus, you take every precaution. And you would put them in hospital, even though you wouldn't put the average person in hospital. I mean, is this really surprising information, James? I'm shocked.
Well, James, it's if you take, even here you've had people like John Hewson coming out. I mean, John Hewson was at one stage possibly our Prime Minister, coming out and saying, oh, can you really get ill from a hoax? Ha, ha, ha. Get it? This is a supposedly respectable politician, James.
Well, yeah, look, although I would say that, at least a former prime minister has weighed in with some Twitter words about Donald Trump's diagnosis. I don't think our current prime minister has said anything about that, which is a curious omission.
That is serious. Why is that, James? Why is that, James? Why hasn't Scott Morrison?
It's really pretty interesting because we've seen, everybody from Kim Jong-un to Justin Trudeau in Canada come out with statements about Donald Trump. So I don't know why, but it's a curious thing that we haven't heard that from our prime minister. Sending a bit of public message of get well soon to one of our closest, if not our closest allies. But I also just want to break in with some breaking news here. I've just found out that Miranda Devine, friend of the show in New York right now, is reporting that Rudy Giuliani has had a phone call with the president and says that Donald Trump says that he feels right now, quote, so fit that he could walk out of there right now, and that he is apparently feeling great and sounds like his old self over the phone. So that's just breaking news. It's just literally come to me about 30 seconds ago out of New York from Miranda Devine.
Well, let's look at some of these responses from people. So let's just kick off with the... Sorry, Rita. Yep.
I was just going to say, just on that John Hewson thing, that line about a hoax, even Trump-hating CNN has done a fact check saying Trump never called the virus a hoax. He was talking about the Democrats' characterisation of his response. So for someone like John Hewson, who lost the unlosable election, to embarrass himself again by pushing that fake news at a time like this, I just think is utterly disgusting. And if I could play you quickly a clip from one of the Democrat senators in the States, Chris Murphy. I mean, there's not a conspiracy theory that the left don't love at the moment. They're still pushing the Russian one. Have a look at this.
If President Trump can't be out there on the campaign trail for the next 2 weeks, then he is going to rely on his surrogates. And unfortunately, one of his surrogates is Vladimir Putin. So you are likely going to see this campaign ramped up by Russia over the next few weeks to try to substitute for the president's absence on the campaign trail. And my worry is that the intel agencies are not being clear with the American people about the size of the Russian operation.
Cuckoo, cuckoo. I mean, that guy is a senator. He's not just some whack job off the street. This is a Democrat senator. It is frightening what's happening. And I tell you, they're scared because they are worried that this unfortunate diagnosis is actually going to help Trump in the polls. And that's why they're now coming out with the conspiracy theories that he's not even infected. It's all some massive ruse because they think, well, if he gets sick, there'll be sympathy for him. If he recovers well, then he'll look more powerful and people will have more confidence in overcoming the virus. Some of the analysis that's out there is wacko, absolutely wacko, Rowan.
Well, let's rip into them because there's particularly, not only in Australia, around the world, but here in Australia, there's been some disgraceful responses to the news that the president, you know, our most powerful ally, is unwell. But let's just start where it kicked off. It kicked off on Friday when we had this report.
Just before 10 o'clock our time tonight, the president sent out this tweet. Tonight, Flotus and I tested positive for COVID-19. We will begin our quarantine and recovery process immediately. We will get through this together.
OK, so not only the president, but also the First Lady had caught this dreadful disease, and it's a disease which has killed many people. If there was a time of putting aside, you know, your differences and calling for a political truce, you would have thought this would be it. But the modern left, despite all its lovey or compassion stuff, empathy, sympathy, these are the most vicious, vile, callous people full of hatred. And boy, did they come out in force over the last couple of days. It's been sickening, but it is not new. Let's just go back and remember this despicable example on ABC's Q&A in 2013 when news broke of the death of the great Margaret Thatcher.
News is just coming through that Britain's first Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher, has died. There'll be a full report on this on Late Line programme after Q&A or on News Radio if you happen to be listening to News Radio. But we have been talking about women leaders. We're talking indeed about Margaret Thatcher.
And me with no champagne.
Oh. It's a trait common to so-called progressives, the narcissistic zeal that they are right and virtuous, and anyone who does not share the belief is someone who's to be despised and destroyed. And the louder they proclaim their virtue and tolerance, the greater their hypocrisy. It's no exaggeration to say they literally want their opponents dead. Just look at this brazen admission from actor Dominic West on live British television.
Well, I did slightly leap in the air with joy. You know, he said it is what it is, and I think the phrase is "what goes around comes around." Well, there's an element of Schadenfreude, I suppose.
But it's not just British celebrities. Former Obama White House staffer and Hillary Clinton's former 2016 national spokesman, Zahra Rahim, tweeted when finding out the news, "It's been against my moral identity to tweet this for the last 4 years, but I hope he dies." On the contrary, Zahra Rahim, it's not against your moral identity at all. It's actually, I think, a crack in the facade which lets us see the real you. Then there was, of course, American comedian Kathy Griffin.
Comedians normally are funny, James. Yeah.
Is to post a video of herself holding up Trump's severed bloody head. She tweeted, quote, "I'll pray for him and the wife on one condition, not mild symptoms, and they each go on a ventilator for at least 5 days." That's my best and final.
Jesus. And here in Australia, as per usual, hate speech was the loudest among the so-called anti-hate speech crowd. Here's just a sample of their revolting tweets. We had Green Senator Jordan Steele John saying, "I hope Donald Trump recovers quickly and is given all the support he needs to transition smoothly to a jail cell on Jan 20th. Ha, ha, ha."
Oh,
then we had, Labor strategist Dee Madigan. 2020 has slightly redeemed itself, really. Recently retired ABC journalist Emma Alberici Have they tried the bleach injection yet? Oh, so witty.
Oh, so funny. And then, of course, there was Annabelle Crabb saying the fact that the nomination party for the new Supreme Court justice now appears to have been the super spreader event mowing down Republicans is basically a teleological argument for the proposition that RBG is God. Discuss. Well, of course, she couldn't even use the word teleological properly, but what are you going to do? Anyway,
so James, what's she saying there? She's saying that because the virus spread it... Yeah, tell us.
RBG came back...
RBG is Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
The grave. Yeah. Ruth Bader Ginsburg is haunting the White House from the grave, and because they tried to replace her with Amy Coney Barrett, which I think they will still do, that somehow they got haunted with this coronavirus. I don't know. Apparently.
So she's saying that the RBG is God, and God is killing, threatening to kill people. Yeah, really nice, charming stuff.
Yeah, but look,
Imagine if it was the other way round, James.
But, Rowan, it's Sunday, and at least we've got a little bit of theology happening at the ABC. They may have come at it the wrong way, and they need a little bit of instruction. But anyway, let's go to more ABC fun. ABC presenter Benjamin Law, we all remember some of his other delightful tweets in the past. Well, yes. Anyway, he just wrote, "Eternal screaming. Announced this to everyone at my work meeting. Just everyone shrieked like scandalized pterodactyls."
Scandalised pterodactyls, really? Yes, well, we all remember Benjamin Law's attempts to do something to Andrew Hastie to change his mind about same-sex marriage. What a charmer that bloke is. Former ABC Insiders. Remember Insiders, the show I used to watch so that the rest of Australia didn't have to? Well, they stopped watching it, so that's the good news. Anyway, he's now in retirement, put out to pasture. Barry Cassidy's saying, calm down, everybody. Trump only has something that is like the flu. OK, so that's his gag there. ABC Board Deputy Chair Kirsten Ferguson says to be a fly on the wall in Dr. Fauci's office right now. So they're loving all this, Rita.
What does that even mean? Well, Dr. Fauci has said that Trump has implemented every recommendation that the medical panel's given him. I mean, really, these people are cuckoo. Let's go to Channel 10's political editor now, PBO. He said, I'm surprised Melania gave the Donald COVID-19 because she's done such a good job socially distancing from him. Hilarious.
Such a wit.
Well, Philip Adams, also from the ABC, back in March when Boris Johnson caught the coronavirus, Philip Adams tweeted, "Dear virus, now that you've found number 10, the address of the White House is 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue." Oh, really nice. Charming stuff from the left, as usual.
And let's go to the Sydney Morning Herald and their columnist, Kerry Sackville. She said, we will all remember where we were when Donald Trump was diagnosed with COVID. On the floor laughing. And then we've got news.com.au journalist Eliza Barr, who said, where were you when you discovered Trump had COVID? I was at Westfield Belconnen getting pedicures with my mates before my girl gets married tomorrow. It's a happy moment for many reasons. Yes, I would have deleted that too, Eliza Barr. It reflected poorly on you.
Sydney Morning Herald columnist Andrew Street said, just heard the news about Trump. Is the virus okay? Oh, these wags.
So funny. And former Age columnist Catherine Devaney, she never misses a chance. She said, and here was I thinking hormone replacement therapy and buying an air fryer were going to be the best things to happen to me this year. These are just such happy, healthy people, Rowan.
Catherine Devaney's still a thing, my God. Anyway, there you go. But then there was, of course, social commentator and ABC drum chair filler Jane Caro, A.O. We'll always remember the A.O. I just had to laugh. Well, Jane, of course, there's also a 14-year-old kid in the White House who's probably pretty worried about the fact that his parents have got this disease. But, you're right. Absolutely hilarious, isn't it, Jane? Anyway, also, author Maxine Babina Clark, today may be the gift we have been waiting for. Oh, yes, there you go.
Guardian columnist Greg Jericho. I'm glad we've got the Guardian in here. Thoughts and prayers and bleach. Worked on that one. But this one, I actually was repulsed by this one. Telstra, come on, the company that's supposedly, a big, important corporation and, people buy their shares. Telstra came out and had a tweet, obviously some intern in the tweeting department, I hope the CEO of Telstra knows what's going on, Don't even try and blame 5G for this, said some wag at Telstra.
Telstra should focus on fixing its terrible service level and do something about its share price as well, because I know quite a few people have been burnt over
Well, they're
that.
not going to help their share price with tweets like that.
Oh, they're pandering to the crazies on Twitter, and trust me, they're probably not the people with share portfolios.
Exactly,
you know, perhaps recognise the crowd who actually invests money on your company.
Right.
But incredibly, let's go to The Project and their host, Lisa Wilkinson, who criticised Trump in the event he has a healthy recovery. Oh, my goodness.
In some ways, I mean, you do not wish anybody ill with this virus. But if he was to come out of this completely asymptomatic and come out, you know, all bolshy about, I'm fine, in many ways, that's another bad message to put out to the people.
How is that a bad message, Rita?
Well, how is that a bad message when the WHO, the World Health Organization, tells us 70 to 80% of cases are asymptomatic or very mild symptoms? Is the fact that people would know that somehow a terrible thing? I mean, the man is 74, by the way. He is at the high-risk category. So the less we say about The Project, the better, really. But let's go to another ludicrous analogy, this time from the LA Times. They wrote this piece saying, when Reagan was shot, the country rallied around, but he hadn't spent months downplaying assassins.
What?
These people are nuts.
And of course, you know, this whole thing, of course, as always, has brought out the truthers who say that this is all a hoax.
It's a hoax.
Put up by Trump.
Of course it is.
And who was leading that front and center? Well, of course, filmmaker Michael Moore, who tweeted that poor virus got sucked into his body and is now trapped there. How can it escape? He wants to use it as a prop. See this China flu? I beat it just like I'll beat Joe Biden. They're both a hoax. My thoughts and prayers, too, said Michael Moore, are with COVID-19. Charming.
Nasty. Actress Bette Midler just learned that Hope Hicks, this is one of the aides, tested positive for COVID. Timing's so interesting. I guess Trump's quarantining will mean no more rallies and no more debates. How convenient. It's awful to always think the worst, but you do, Bet. But after 4 years of relentless lying, can't be helped. No trust left. Really, Bette Midler. And Sydney Morning Herald's columnist and Jenna Price. Jenna Price. Does anyone believe him? Does he believe the president? Or is he trying for the sympathy vote? Ah, yes, Rita, the sympathy vote.
She's not just a columnist, she's a journalism lecturer. So let's just fear for the next generation. Absolutely. And let's go back to Jane Caro again. She just gives us so much gold. She said, does Trump really have COVID? Is this bull or what? Only a few years ago, I would have implicitly believed an announcement like this about a POTUS. Now, not so much. Have we fallen so low? It's somehow Trump's fault that these idiots keep falling for conspiracy theories. I mean, really.
That's right.
And, of course, it wouldn't be complete without having a look at The Project. And here's panelist Tommy Little.
Guys, I think he might be one step ahead of you. I have a theory that potentially this is a president who is not known for telling the truth. I wouldn't be surprised if he's actually lying and wants to say that he's got it so he can say it had no effect on me and I'm fine and it's actually nothing to be afraid of.
Wacko! Wacko, 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 wacko.
Got more. Former Media Watch host Monica Attard tweeted, must admit to being staggered by the number of people here, including journalists, saying Trump's COVID diagnosis is fake. Well, that's an interesting one from her.
Well, we can laugh at all the celebrities, but I was appalled by the Queensland Deputy Premier and Health Minister Stephen Miles, who tweeted, have you considered intravenous disinfectant? You know, this is disgusting. This is, as someone pointed out, you know, this is a health minister, so-called health minister. Mocking anyone with COVID is an absolute disgrace, an absolute disgrace. Shame on you, Stephen Miles, and shame on you, Labor in Queensland is a joke. Anastasia Palaszczuk employing people like this. Finally, from Britain's Piers Morgan, some common sense. The ecstatic glee I am witnessing, which is so distasteful and so hypocritical from those who preach about tolerance and kindness. We saw the same thing when Boris Johnson nearly died. It is vile. I agree 100%.